this fight was originally made as a final eliminator for the IBF heavyweight title. Most of you guys know that. Martin Bakole went ahead and fought Joseph Parker on like 2 days' notice, got knocked out, and he did that on the proviso that he would still get an opportunity afterwards, that he would still get this Efe Ajagba fight. Now, this fight is no longer an IBF final eliminators. Therefore, why would Efe Ajagba still take it? Now, some people are going to say for the money. Maybe the Saudis are paying him handsomely, and for that, he's willing to forego an opportunity, in an IBF final eliminator. But surely, if you go ahead in an IBF final eliminator against someone else, you might get an easier opponent than Martin Bakole, a more winnable fight. And after that, you're going to get a shot at the heavyweight title for probably more money than you make against Bakole anyway. So why risk your position with the IBF by taking on a guy who just got knocked out in 2 rounds by Joseph Parker? It's a really strange thing for Efe Ajagba to do. But presumably, like I say, he was offered a load of money by the Saudis. And as I said with the Saras Munguia rematch, we have to find out where Martin Bakole's punch resistance is at right now. I personally think it will be fine because I think he was affected by not just the lack of sparring, not being in shape, but also lack of sleep. Sleep deprivation can certainly affect your punch resistance. Anyone who's ever boxed, anyone who's ever sparred will know that. If you go into the gym and you've only had 2 or 3 hours sleep and you get in there sparring, you're not going to be able to take the same kind of shot. At the same time, Martin Bakole, up to that point, had always shown a solid chin. Not that he'd been in there with a bunch of big punches. He hadn't. The hardest punches he'd been in with might have been maybe Sergey Kuzmin. He can crack, and he hit Martin Bakole some good shots. I mean, Jared Anderson, I guess, is a pretty decent puncher, but no monster punches. Still, he took their shots fine. He was stopped by Michael Hunter years ago, and Michael Hunter isn't exactly a massive puncher, but Michael Hunter hit him with maybe hundreds of shots. Bang on the chin. Bakole never went down. He was stopped on his feet. And by the time he was stopped, he was tired. And he did have a shoulder injury, which he picked up late in that fight. So, Bakole had never shown a weak chin before. But of course, the Joseph Parker right hand that dropped him didn't land on his chin. In fact, he took a Joseph Parker right hand bang on the chin with seemingly little effect a couple of moments before the shot that dropped him. Now, perhaps it did have an effect, but, it didn't really register visually, because Martin Bakole just shook his head and kept marching forward after taking the right hand on the chin from Parker. But as I say, maybe it buzzed him to some extent and he just brushed it off with a bit of bravado. And then the shot which caught him high on the head is what finished him, scrambled him after the chin shot. Or maybe Joseph Parker revealed Martin Bakole's Achilles heel. Some fighters with really good chins are vulnerable in other areas on their head. Sometimes on the temple, on the ear, some people high on the head, which is, again, kind of unusual because that is one of the hardest parts of the human body, if not the hardest part of the human body, is right there on the forehead, on the cranium, top of the cranium. So, maybe Martin Bakole is vulnerable there. And if he is, Efe Ajagba will surely be looking to exploit that. And Ajagba, I have to imagine, will be a lot more confident now after what happened to Martin Bakole against Joseph Parker than he would have been before that fight. So, it's intriguing for those reasons to me, because I was expecting Martin Bakole to go in there and deal with Ajagba quite easily, to be honest with you. Ajagba is a big, strong guy. He hits very hard with the right hand, but he's painfully robotic. He's very basic and very, very beatable. He got beat already, of course, by Frank Sanchez. Frank Sanchez dropped him and beat him comprehensively on the cards. And yes, he's come back since then with a number of wins, but he hasn't looked altogether impressive, to be honest with you. When he fought Vianello, for example, he didn't look very impressive. He beat Kosabutsky by disqualification. He didn't look that impressive in that fight. Even against Stefan Shaw, he didn't look particularly impressive. So he's put some wins together, but nothing that would compel me to pick him over Martin Bakole, at least not prior to the Joseph Parker debacle. So it's intriguing. Let's see what happens there. It's a more intriguing fight, long story short, now, to me anyway, than it was before Bakole got beaten by Parker. So I'll say that. Now, before I go, those of you who are into Fortean subjects, the weird and wacky, the mysterious, you might want to check out my latest topical podcast on Patreon about the infamous Mothman of Point Pleasant, West Virginia. This was an absolutely bizarre episode in American history, which lasted about a year up until the collapse of the Silver Bridge on the Ohio River that resulted in the tragic loss of life of dozens of people. There was a movie written about the episode called The Mothman Prophecies, based on the book by John Keel of the same name. So again, if you're into weird stuff, check out my latest topical podcast on Patreon about the Mothman of Point Pleasant. I go through many of the first-hand accounts from 1966 to 1967, and I entertain possible explanations. Was it some type of elaborate hoax? Was it some type of social experiment, covert military technology, or something far more bizarre and spooky than that? So make sure you check me out on Patreon. The links are all in the description. Just follow the instructions in this trailer. Are you surrounded by mindless bots in human form who adhere to the norm and blindly conform? Who swallow all the mainstream BS and actually ridicule you for questioning things? Do you wish you had more free-thinking individuals in your life to network and converse with? Well, look no further. We're right here. Come and join the Brotherhood of Reason on Patreon. You'll gain access to my weekly topical content where we take deep dives on an endless variety of subjects, as well as my vast back catalogue of podcasts, videos, interviews, movie decodings, and my Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You'll also get to talk and network with myself and hundreds of other people in our members chat. You can enjoy all this via the Patreon app or on desktop and download all my podcasts in high quality MP3. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store, or simply visit patreon.com on a web browser. Then head on over to my page and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. All the links are in the description box below. And just a quick money-saving tip for Apple users. If you purchase your Patreon subscription on the desktop site or on Android, then you'll avoid the ridiculous 30% fee that Apple charges for purchases made on the iOS app. So if you're on iPhone or iPad, save yourself some money by buying your subscription on the actual Patreon website or on Android, because it's a lot cheaper. Once you've made that initial purchase, you can then use the Patreon app on your iPhone or iPad thereafter to access and enjoy your content as normal.